Spread your wings and fly. You belong to the sky. Many wonders lie waiting within your mind's eye. And as you believe, great clarity, claim your destiny. Beyond perceived boundaries lies possibility. And as you believe,
As You Believe with Claudia Carawan, and it is a wonderful day here at Unity of Melbourne. For those of you who are joining us virtually, we thank you. For all of you who are starting to pack the seats here in the sanctuary, we definitely swung the doors wide open, and we're grateful that you have all decided to come here today. And why here? Because at Unity of Melbourne, our why, the reason we are here is we love and accept ourselves and others, and we heal our world. If I can get you to repeat that and affirm that with me right now, that's who we are and what we are. So, we love and accept ourselves and others, and we heal our world. And one of the ways that we do that is by swinging the doors wide open, as our musicians sing with Daniel Nahmod. Swing the doors open.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smile. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Swing wide the doors. Thank you so very, very much. Good morning. I think the people virtually were louder than all the people that were here. Let's try this again. Those of you virtually, don't yell at your television sets because you overpowered the voltmeter that Chris has in the back. So those of you in the sanctuary, good morning. It's amazing what the power of the microphone can bring, isn't it? Good morning. My name is Randy Fillmore. I am the Director of Operations here at Unity of Melbourne, and it is absolutely my pleasure and my joy to be your platform host today. And it's no big secret who we have here today. For those of you who have not seen, because you probably didn't see her as she was walking in and hugging, I swear there was a line backed out to the highway. Senior Minister Emeritus Reverend Beth Head is in the house today giving today's talk. And we are so grateful that she is here with us today as we swing wide the doors. Today I want to talk about just a couple of real quick announcements. We have been doing, let's see, Joseph, I'm supposed to do Daily Word first, aren't I? Yes, thank you. Daily Word, our affirmation today is, the world feels new as I grow in awareness. Spending time in mindful contemplation increases my awareness of my surroundings. As I concentrate and focus my attention, I shut out distractions and settle my unquiet mind. My world begins to feel brighter, vibrant, and more alive as I notice the soft sounds and minute textures and colors I have overlooked before. Spending time in prayer increases my awareness of God's goodness, which I share with others when I am patient and kind, generous and forgiving. This goodness returns to me as kindness and gentleness in the people I meet, and ease and grace in all the places that I go. My world has not changed, but I have. My awareness of God in me, and as my life has opened my eyes and ears, my mind and my heart, the world feels new as I grow in awareness. I do want to mention a couple of things that is happening here at Unity of Melbourne. We have had for many years Tuesday and Thursday noon prayer. As we continue to innovate and try new things here at Unity of Melbourne, we're stopping the Tuesday and Thursday noon prayer, and we're shifting to a Wednesday evening connection and prayer. And that'll be on Zoom or on telephone at 7 p.m. And we'll be posting that in an email. We can give you the link before you leave today. It'll be posted in the chat stream. But 7 o'clock every Wednesday night starting on the 1st of September. So in a couple of days, Wednesday is when we'll be doing it. Tuesday, day after tomorrow, will be the last Tuesday noon prayer. So we're doing that. The next thing is a town hall. The Board of Trustees will be hosting a town hall Sunday, the 19th of September, immediately following the worship service. And it's going to be, we're still working out the Zoom connection, but it will be streamed one way or another, either on Facebook or on Zoom. And we invite those of you in the sanctuary to be here as well. It'll be immediately following the service. About 45 minutes is what the anticipation is. So that's happening as well. Coming up a week from Wednesday is World Day of Prayer. And it's going to be Wednesday and Thursday. There are many opportunities for you to participate in World Day of Prayer. And that's Unity's World Day of Prayer. It's 24 hours of contemplation, meditation, prayer. And Joseph will be posting the link in the comments section, in the chat session on Facebook. But I would encourage anyone and everyone to take the opportunity to look at WDOP, World Day of Prayer. There's an opportunity to light a virtual candle, to add your prayer request to the national and international prayer request for World Day of Prayer. There's a daily word service at 9 a.m. Thursday morning. That's 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if you look on the website, it'll say 8 o'clock, but that's Central. So it's 9 a.m. Eastern time. And Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, they'll be doing a sound healing. It's a very powerful opportunity to engage with that. So right now we want to go ahead and play a video about World Day of Prayer from Reverend Linda Martello Whitsitt, who's the Vice President of Prayer at Silent Unity.
No matter the circumstances, all is well with my soul. In this holy moment, I pause to breathe and open. I open my mind to know the nature of God and my divine nature. I open my heart to experience the silent yet certain reality of infinite life, love, and creativity. No matter what is happening at any moment, in the world around me or within my experience, I am not subject to its effects. In fact, I am not my circumstances or my experiences. I am wholly divine, and all is well with my soul. I sink into the still waters, the state of perfect peace where nothing can interrupt or displace the flow of life, love, and creativity. In this state of awareness, I rest, I renew, I blossom, I thrive. Steeped in joyful appreciation, I celebrate my ever-expanding capacity to know that all is well with my soul. I choose to live, love, and create well. And so it is.
And for those of you in the sanctuary, we'll play that again towards the closing end of the service, because it It is beautiful, and I'm sure that those who were watching virtually were able to hear the entire thing. We want to go ahead and take this opportunity now to talk about our youth. They are in their third week of discovering a sacred space, and they're finding ways to create their own personal sacred space. They've got a sacred space memory game, and they're able to create their own sacred space with fabric, foam, and paper that they can decorate. So they're engaged in wonderful spiritual activities that they that teach them the truth of who they are. And that's just a wonderful opportunity. So let's go ahead and bless our children that are down at the other end of the hall. Children, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you, and we behold the Christ that you are. So thank you very much. All right. I think it's time now for Anything is Possible from our music team.
I want to say thank you. It's so good to come today and hear your voices. Y'all touch my soul. They have beautiful music. Don't we have beautiful music? And so, Randy, it's a good thing that after 25 years, y'all changed noon prayer. You know, well, let me tell you, I did it because if people wanted to see me, I would tell them, well, come for noon prayer, and then we'll go to lunch. Or if you want a counseling appointment, I would do it at 11, because then I could say, well, it's noon prayer time, we got to stop. So Tuesday, Thursday prayer worked for me, but you know, everything's changing. Nothing will be the same. And so when Randy extended the invitation for me to come speak today, and I don't have my mask on because I don't think you could hear me if I had it on. I'm sorry. But I'll try not to spread. I am vaccinated. He said to speak on will. And I have my will talk all planned. And I got here this morning, and there's some people that are here that are guests this morning, and they're guests from they came to our church when Life's Oasis met with us in the old building, and they're guests this morning. And I realized that if I just set out and start talking about Will, they're going to be scratching their heads and saying, "What is she talking about? Where did that come from?" So I'm going to go back and do a baby lesson, a primer. In Unity, we say that everything in the Bible has some meaning to us that we can take in to improve our own lives. And so that every character, every place, every story has a meaning beyond just what is written on the page. And our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, as well as many other traditions before him, assigned powers to the disciples. And they said that as Jesus went about and drew his disciples to him, he was drawing powers to himself to move from Jesus the person to Jesus the Christed being that knew his oneness with God. And in Unity, we have this belief that you and I can do that same thing, that we can pull those powers in, that we can practice those powers and develop those powers, and that we become more aware of our inner spirit. We become more aware of our connection with God, to the point where we understand that there is that part of us that is divine. Just like Jesus the man had a part of him that was divine. And so as I talk about the powers, it's just one of 12 powers because there were 12 disciples. Now, when I was going to ministerial school, I had a little bit of rebellion. No. I mean, maybe it started before that when I went to SCE. These 12 powers, who decided? I mean, they left out humor. They left out flexibility. Of course, they're all of the attributes that we, as we grow spiritually, they're all represented in the 12 powers. So when I talk about the power of will, the power of will is represented by the disciple Matthew. Now, we talk about name changes being a major thing in the Bible. You know, Sarah had a name change. The Apostle Paul had a name change after he came into his belief in Christianity. Matthew had a name change. He was Levi, and he was a tax collector. And his focus was on the material. It was on the outward stuff. We know what all that outward stuff is. I'm driving some new outward stuff. Levi became Matthew. The name Matthew means gift from God, gratuity of God. And it signifies that time in our life when we understand that what is out there is not the most important thing. That's what's in here that's most important. It is our relationship with God that is the most important. And the power of all of our 12 powers, and this will show you how this 12 power idea is threaded throughout our our history of humanity are associated with our chakras and with parts of our body. And will is represented by our frontal brain, the part of our brain that's in the front. That's our executive function. And so will is our executive function to make a decision, to decide, to turn away from that which would lure us and turn back to that which is truth. And I have a sentence that I want to read because it meant a lot to me, and I don't want to say it wrong. The power of will is less about exerting control over what is happening and more about our choice, about choosing our response to what is happening. Less about exerting control and more about choosing our response. Sometimes, in our life, we will be going along and in our career, and I'm speaking about this personally. I was going along in my accounting career, doing just fine, but all of a sudden it was flat. It was stale. I had no excitement around it. I was a little bored with it. I couldn't seem to get any higher. I couldn't seem to expand. And that's when I made that switch to, over a period of time, it didn't happen just like that, made that switch to becoming a minister. And so that is that turning point in my personal life that I recognized was the turning point in Matthew's life. And what I want to say is, if you find yourself in one of those places where you feel stale, it may not mean that you need to give up your career and become a minister. In fact, I might suggest you not do that. But it is the nudge of Spirit to call you higher, to call you to a higher level of consciousness. And you can depend on it that when you do that, then you'll have some sort of breakthrough. Maybe it's a call to pray more, maybe it's a call to read more, maybe it's a call to go to church more, maybe it's a call to give more to your church. For those of you who are out there in virtue land, maybe it's a call to actually find a physical church when you're able to do that. I want to talk about will a little bit, in the fact that it is not this thing about not exerting control. It is not used to repress or control others. And if you think about all of the people in life who try to repress, you see there is a force that will work against that repression. I don't know if you have anything that your parents particularly wanted you not to do. I did every one of them, which is one of the reasons I had a child out of wedlock, one of the reasons that chocolate is my favorite food. There's this relationship between willfulness and control. It's the opposite of what we're talking about when we talk about will. Will is really probably more non-resistant than it is being forceful. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, you think about Emmett Fox's book, Sermon on the Mount. Here's a quote from Charles Fillmore. He said, if you pay attention to what works and what doesn't, what works in your interpersonal relationships, pay attention to what works. power does not rise from willfulness, but from a powerful personal will making right decisions based on based on divine ideas, which become effective because of their rightness. And I think about, in my own life, I think about my sweet husband Gerald, that many of you know. You know, if you know Gerald, did you ever see him try to force me to do anything? No. Might have seen the other way around, but you know, there's a reason I'm having to talk about this, because I kind of recognized myself in some of this. So will is the ability to engage a decision. It is the tool that we use to determine how we move forward in our life. It is the idea about making a decisive action. It's the using our consciousness of God to be our compass, to be our North Star. Our will is what helps us move to a higher level in consciousness. We move toward willingness, and total willingness toward God and toward all that is good. Sometimes it's overdeveloped, and sometimes our will is underdeveloped. And when it's overdeveloped, it can exert itself as stubbornness and have to have my way. And when it's underdeveloped, I can't make a choice. I can't figure out how to get out of I'm in a bad marriage, I'm in a bad job, I can't make the move to get out. In either case, you might find that person that the faculty of will is not correctly developed. You might find them being dogmatic, inflexible, and literal-minded. And I happen to know that if you let me get hungry, angry, tired, or lonely, or overstressed, too much to do, that my function of will is less than beautiful. Luckily, I can say I'm sorry. And people say, well, how do I know what is the right will? What is God's will? Well, I will tell you that your first thing to do is to just ask God, God, what is your will for me? What is your will for me? And be open to the ideas that come, and know that if the answer you get seems way bigger than anything you can do, that's it. That's God's will. If it's placed small, that's not God's will. God's will always help you develop, to grow bigger, to develop character, to have a closer relationship with God. The second indication that we're doing God's will is that whatever we're doing, it's going to be a win-win situation. God's will never be, I will for you and not for someone else. And so you and I have to know and affirm that God is always there for us, always willing to help us see the next step. We can pray, here I am, God. I need to know what to do, and I will listen. And sometimes that means that what we have to do is we have to say that, and then we have to shut up. Because there are times when I'm praying, God, I need to know. What do I do? Do I do this or do I do that? And I realize God can't get a word in edgewise. Because I have blocked that out. I've used my mental capacity to block out that impulse of spirit. That's why the psalmist said, be still and know that I am God. So my sentence that I loved, power of will is less about exerting control over what is happening and more about our response to what is happening. And so I have 3 stories for you this morning. And the first one I want to share with you is a story about the right use of will, and you're going to see in it the ability to find another perception of an obstacle. You're going to see humility, resilience, and flexibility. You're going to see inspired action. And though you wouldn't covertly see it, but I am going to point it out, you can see the creative power of the universe at work in this. And this story is about someone I know that you've heard of, and some of you have heard this story because it's a story that has meant a lot to me. The story is about Thomas Edison. And at the age of 67, one day he goes home from work and he's having dinner, and all of a sudden a man comes rushing into his house and tells him that their facility is on fire. And so he rushes to his research lab a few miles away, and there are fire trucks from 8 different nearby towns, and they could not stop the blaze. All of his various buildings went up, and the flames were green and yellow because of all the different chemicals. And as he was there, he was looking for his adult son, and then when he found him, he said, "Go get your mom and tell her to bring her all of her friends. They'll never see another fire like this." "What?" said his son. And Edison calmed his son by saying, "It's all right. We just got rid of a lot of rubbish in there." Now, there is definitely more than a little rubbish in there. There were all of his records, all of his prototypes, all of the research just turned to ash. And the buildings that he was in were made of concrete, which were supposed to be fireproof, foolproof. And they had only been insured for a fraction of their worth because they thought that they were immune to such a disaster. Edison and his investors were covered for about a third of the damage. And so his reaction's pretty remarkable, isn't it? What would you have done? And what could he have done? I mean, he could have wept. He could have blamed someone for not turning off a Bunsen burner or being careless with a cigarette. He could have gotten angry. He could have just given up. After all, he was 67 years old, and he had accomplished quite a bit in his life. But he didn't. He wasn't done doing remarkable things. And so to do great things, you and I in our life have to learn how to endure. And have to learn to keep on. We have to accept what is. He told the reporter the next day that he wasn't too old to make a new start. That it was things just like this that spurred people on. And so here are some facts that seem astonishing. And here is where I'm pointing out that the creative power of the universe, the creative power of God, responded to Thomas Edison because he didn't weep, he didn't blame, he didn't give up. In 3 weeks, the factory was partially up and running. Within a month, it had men working 2 shifts a day, churning out products that the world had not seen. And despite the loss of almost $1 million, which would be about $23 million today, or maybe even more, Edison made $10 million in revenue the following year, about $200 million today. He not only suffered a spectacular disaster, but he recovered, and he replied to that disaster spectacularly. He used his will rightly. He gave life a chance to rebuild. And so here's some ways that he used his will. He used it to stay with an empowered perception that this is not a horrible tragedy. It is an opportunity. To be humble. It's just rubbish. To be resilient. I'm not too old to start over again. To be flexible. And to move himself into inspired action. To get this up and running again. He used his will to accept what is. His plant burned down, nothing he could do about it. So lean in and do even more. He used his will to face it with enthusiasm and even cheerfulness. Go get your mom and her friends. She'll never see a fire like this. You and I have obstacles in our lives, and they may not be as serious or as violent as that fire for Thomas Edison, but they are nevertheless significant to us and seemingly outside our control. And you and I have to learn to say, not just I'm okay with this, not even I think I feel good about this, but we have to be able to say, I feel great about this because something better is about to come. I'm going to go back to my favorite sentence. The power of will is less about exerting control over what is happening and more about our response to what is happening. And I want to talk about somebody else who had a dream. I want to talk about our friend Randy. Randy had a dream to become a licensed Unity teacher. And he started taking classes. And what year was your first class?
For this credit, 26.
Before that?
1992.
Way back in 1992, he took some classes. But what happens is at Unity, if you don't get your classes taken in a certain period of time, they expire. In 1996, and I remember that. I remember when you came. You came here for SEE, for a week of SEE to take classes. And you had signed up for 4 classes. One of those classes was Lessons in Truth, and you were the only one that signed up. And our Maggie was going to cancel the class. But between the two of you, your will and her will, she taught you all by yourself. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It was you couldn't hide. You could not hide. That's right. You couldn't hide. So we have some videos from some people who want to say congratulations on you being getting your licensed Unity teacher recognition, which he just got.
Hey Randy, it's Dana. A little bird told me that you reached a big milestone and you're now a licensed Unity teacher. Congratulations. I tell you, this comes as a big surprise to me because ever since I've known you, you've been a Unity teacher. I've learned so much from you. I guess it's just you've got the license now. So congratulations. Really happy for you. Wish I was there to celebrate with you. Enjoy. Take care.
Hi, Randy. This is Reverend Carolyn. I just wanted to take a moment to offer my congratulations on this major milestone that you've accomplished on your spiritual journey. Since we met at the Unity of Fredericksburg 15 years ago, I know how devoted you are to the Unity principles and the path that you take to become a licensed Unity teacher. Yay! I'm so happy for you. Bye for now.
Congratulations, Randy Fillmore. It is a big deal to become a licensed Unity teacher, and I am so proud of you. You will be an amazing credential leader in the Unity movement. Congratulations.
Hi, Randy. This is Paul Hasselbeck, and of course you already know that. I want to congratulate you on a job well done. I got to be alongside of you as you learned, as you grew, and then as you used what you learned. You're one of the few licensed unity teachers that actually started a ministry before you completed the licensed unity teacher program. And oh my, have you invested your time and your talent and your treasure. Well, I pretty much always considered you a colleague. Now I can say you are an official colleague and a friend. And I hope to enjoy many more years with you and to watch you grow and soar. Congratulations, my friend.
Hi, Randy. Congratulations. Just want to tell you how fabulous I think it is that you're finally done. Licensed unity teacher. I know you worked hard and you've been diligent and been fearless and sometimes serious, sometimes silly, but always wonderfully demonstrating the best that we can be. So I'm so happy for you. I'm tickled. I have no idea where ministry is going to go from here for you, but I know that you put your whole heart and your whole soul and how much it means to you. I have some idea of how important this is for you. So I'm glad that you're celebrating and that Barbara tricked you and didn't tell you why she needed my email and that she needed something from me and making you guess and being not in the know of everything. It's good practice. So I love you. I acknowledge the Christ that you are, and I'm so celebrating with you, and I couldn't be happier. Yay.
And so Maggie and Valerie, would you come up? They have some things that they want to. Maggie and the board will have some things they want to say to you, and.
We get to say thank you in person. Randy, you have been such an extraordinary blessing to Unity of Melbourne. Yeah. Seriously, he has done. And Kathy's in the background too. I'll introduce her in a minute. I recently responded to an email to Randy, and I was half joking, but I was mostly serious. And it was, "When do you sleep?" Because I don't think he does. He works so hard for us and does such an extraordinary job. But a licensed Unity teacher is a big deal. It's a huge deal. So your board wanted to say thank you, and we are represented here with Leanne and Janine and Jane. Kathy's in the background. Beth and Lynn are joining us virtually. But we also wanted to bring up our licensed Unity teachers to talk a little bit about what's involved, because this is not a weekend course, folks. This is a big, big commitment. So I've asked Maggie to share that.
I had to write it down. And believe me, I remember going through all this. And where's Reverend Beth? Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Okay. I have one of my favorite Reverend Beth quotes about what it goes on to be a licensed Unity teacher. Speaking of rebellion, when I was finishing up, I was so upset about all the stuff we had to learn and memorize, and oh my God, it was terrible. And I went to Reverend Beth, and they said, "I'll never use half of this stuff. This is ridiculous. It's a waste of my time." And Reverend Beth said, and I quote, "If they tell you to push a peanut across the floor with your nose, do it. And then you can do whatever you want." And I'm going to just read you what it takes to become a licensed Unity teacher. You have to complete 220 hours of Unity Spiritual Institute spiritual development program. That's before you go up to the village. That's what you can do right here. 250. Oh, they've included, well, you deserve it, right? You deserve a break today. 120 hours, does that change the professional development? And that's got to be done at the village. At least it used to be. I don't know. They changed that too, probably. Okay. You have to get a psychological evaluation. Hey, did you pass?
3 times.
I was wondering about that. Okay. You have to have some kind of a specialty practicum, so you get to choose whether you want to study administration, adult education, pastoral care, a music ministry, child and family. So it's just very much like a graduate degree, and there's all kinds of requirements for that. There's book reports and book reviews and practice teaching and how to write a syllabus and all that lesson plan development. Then you need a minister's recommendation, as if all the rest of that wasn't enough. And then you spent a whole week up there being tested by Unity ministers and licensed teachers. And that, if that's not it's nerve-wracking for sure. So our boy's been very busy, and all the while holding this church together at the end there. So Randy, we're so glad. And I am more than proud to call you my colleague.
Thank you, Maggie. And Paulette, who's joining us virtually, had a message that she said would mean something to you. It's very simple. She said, never has anyone worked harder or been more conscientious and diligent about getting this credential than you. And that includes her. So maybe that's the special message. That includes her. So thank you so much, Randy. We have the flowers are for Barb, but we have a couple little tokens of our appreciation. Hopefully, you can go out and have a little celebration for all your hard work. Our LUTs, like our prayer chaplains, are just so huge a part of our spiritual community. And I, for one, can't wait to take a class from you. He's got one coming up, by the way. Thank you, Randy. We love you. We appreciate you.
Now, there is an example of the right use of will in our midst. It wasn't easy for Randy to keep taking those classes, particularly the ones he'd already taken. And even during COVID, when it was harder to get them, you've persevered. And so I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your journey. And we all celebrate with you. And we love you, and you ought to stand up and just turn around and let them give you some love. So Randy, we love you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ as you. Christ you are. Y'all changed it. We still love you. So I'm about to tell a story, and then I'll close and go into meditation. I want to tell you the story about Sarah and Joshua Shepherd. Sarah and Joshua had been married for 10 years, and they had spent much time together. They took long walks. They fed the ducks. At the lake, they laughed a lot. And one day while Joshua was away, he received a call that Sarah had been in a terrible accident, and she was in critical condition. And when he got to her hospital room, Joshua's heart broke when he saw all the machines and the tubes everywhere. And the doctor was at her side, and he said, I'm so glad you're here because no one has been able to get her to respond. She doesn't speak. She shows no signs of recognition. It looks pretty grim. And so Joshua tried different ways to get Sarah to respond. He tried talking to her. He came every day. He squeezed her hand. He stroked her face. Desperate to get through to her, one day he took her favorite ice cream, strawberry ice cream, and put some on her lips, and there was no response. But day after day, he kept going. He refused to give up. And one day he remembered Sarah's favorite cologne, and so he splashed it all over himself, not caring if he smelled like a woman. He didn't care. He walked to her bedside and he embraced her And as he stood up, his heart jumped out of his chest because he saw a single teardrop roll down Sarah's cheek. And he said, "Oh, my Sarah, you know that I am here. I have found a way to get through to you. The fragrance of the cologne has communicated my presence to you." That tiny communication of love led to the eventual healing and total recovery of Sarah Shepherd. She and Joshua continue to have walks and feed the ducks today. And what I want you to know is that every day, God is trying every avenue, day after day, to get a message through to you that you are his beloved, that he loves you with a depth that is beyond your knowledge, that he is here for you. But frequently, you and I don't take time to listen. It is our power of will that helps us make that decision. And so now Stoney will play, our musicians will play some music as we go into the silence. God is with us in the silence. I invite you now to take this very special time, this moment, as your personal time with God. I invite you to relax physically. Allow all the muscles and nerves in your body to relax. Go deeply and quietly into the very special place where we listen to God. I invite you to allow my voice to be your voice. As God waits for me in the silence, I wait for God. I am willing to listen. I listen to that still small voice, the inner voice of God speaking to me, guiding me, comforting me, bringing me peace and harmony. In the silence, I listen. In the silence, I tap into the divine creative energy which is God. I allow this divine creative energy to speak to me and to speak through me as me. In this moment, I make a commitment to listen. A commitment to listen. So I take a moment now and listen in the silence. God, I'm willing to rise a little higher, to reach a little farther, to allow you to be me and all that I can be, all that I've been created to be. I commit this morning, Mother, Father, God, to allow the Christ of me to be. I allow myself to be all that I've been created to be. And I give thanks for having made this connection. And so it is. Amen.
It is in this moment that I say thank you, that I say thank you. There are many opportunities that we have in life to express our gratitude, just as the outpouring of emotion just happened here just a few moments ago, and the love that I feel in my heart. If you've been blessed by the feelings of gratitude that have occurred both physically in this room and virtually, I would encourage you and invite you to participate in one of many ways that we can practice that principle of generosity. One of those ways can be everything from dropping an offertory in the basket on your way out. For those of you who prefer a digital version, you can text a donation amount to 84321. Joseph is posting for those online our secure web link that will take you to our donate page. And for those that like to write a check and are virtually, we invite you to, we're not going to bring the basket to you, but you can certainly mail it to us at Unity of Melbourne, 2401 North Harbor City Boulevard, Melbourne, Florida, 32935. And if you did not pick up one of these I Am Blessed cards that are on the back table, I would invite you before you leave today to write how you were blessed this week, or even today, because I know I will be, and drop it in the basket. And we'll be posting that. If you'd like it to be added to our comment section on Facebook, put it in the basket. If you want to hold it with you and put it on your mirror at home, or just keep it for the rest of the week as a reminder of how you are blessed. Because as we acknowledge our blessings, they multiply. They multiply because there is energy in that thought. There is energy in the remembering. There is energy that we bring to this. And in that awareness, we are so very, very grateful. So let's go ahead and say our prosperity affirmation before we demonstrate this gratitude. Our prosperity affirmation is as follows, and I invite you to say it with me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate, and I am grateful. And now our musicians are going to express their gratitude. Though I'm so grateful, there are sheets in the back of the chairs in front of you we encourage you to also do the hand motions. To Karen Drucker's I'm So Grateful. We bless these offerings destined for Unity of Melbourne and are grateful for all of the ways that each of you continue to support this spiritual community. These manifestations of abundance will be used in faithful stewardship. We bless the gift. We bless the giver. And we hold the conviction that each blessing will be manifest in our lives 100-fold. And so it is. Amen. Next week, please sit down, please. Next week, Reverend Ron Fox from the Center of Spiritual Living, Space Coast, will be joining us here in the sanctuary. They've been meeting virtually, and they had come back for 2 Sundays, and now we're kind of doing a joint service for this Sunday, and I'm going to see how that goes. And Reverend Ron will be looking forward to having him talk. Reverend Beth, you had an announcement you wanted to make.
Well, once again, I want to say thank you to y'all have blessed my heart. You've blessed me so much. Thank you so much. Thank each and every one of you. I want to take a moment to plug something. The Southeast Unity Ministries, which is the Southeast region, which covers everything from North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and the boot part of Louisiana. We're having a conference, and the conference is in October. If you go to seunity.org, you can sign up for the conference. It's a virtual conference. The first night we will have Karen Drucker. It'll be a great evening. The second night we'll have Daniel Namod and a Dr. Orestes, who I can't say his last name in this moment. Would be a great evening. On Tuesday in the afternoon we have our business meeting, and on Wednesday we have classes all day. and the cost of it is like $100. I think if you go home before and sign up before August 31st, I think it's $100. Next month's $125. We're trying to get people to sign up in advance. It's open to everybody, not just ministers. You would be blessed. And so thank you for allowing me to make that plug. And I want to say thank you again for allowing me to come home. It warms my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Beth. And Unity of Melbourne has already registered for the conference, so we've got a number of folks participating in that. I want to acknowledge our prayer chaplains, Jane, Warner, Ann Dubois, and Phyllis, our prayer chaplains with us today. If you have a prayer need that you'd like to talk with one of our prayer chaplains after the service, please, they'll be over on this side of the sanctuary and willing to pray with you. For those of you online, Joseph will be posting the prayer link to fill out a form virtually that will come to our prayer chaplains, and they'll add you to our prayer list for 30 days before we send it to Silent Unity, where it will be prayed for again for another 30 days. And we greatly appreciate their participation in that. I do want to thank my wife, Barbara. It was meeting through her that I became familiar with Melbourne. Nowhere else would I have considered coming to Melbourne except through her. And Reverend Carolyn Carter, who was mentioned on there, knew Reverend Beth. So it was synchronicity, call it coincidence, call it divine order, that I was here. And just as yoga is Barbara's retirement plan, licensed Unity teacher was my retirement plan. It has kind of grown a little bit with what circumstances, but it's all good. It is all in divine order. So thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I do want to mention, too, that Reverend Beth is staying for the Sunday Talk discussion. It's the opportunity to delve deeper into, in this case, will. And that'll be held in hospitality. For those of you virtually, Joseph is posting the Zoom link. So for those in the sanctuary, it's just down the hall. And for those virtually, it'll be on in about 4 minutes. And Maggie is going to be heading down there to fire up the Zoom link right now. But thank you again so very, very much. I've said all that I have to say except our prayer for protection. So please join me as we close out today's service. Together, the light of God surrounds me. I am light. The love of God enfolds me. I am love. The power of God protects me. I am power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, for I know all is divine. And we know that divinity, and together we can change this world.
belong to the sky. Many wonders lie waiting within your mind's eye. And as you will receive, as you believe, you will receive, as you believe. With great clarity, claim your destiny. Beyond perceived boundaries lies possibility. And as you believe, you will receive. As you believe, you will receive. As you believe. And I